Sir Chong, if you could please leave the room.
Okay. Not bad, huh? Okay, we'll see.
Okay, our guest speaker for today is Jim Chong, also known as Sir Jim Chong. He is a speaker, writer, author, advanced financial solution navigator. He's a dynamic individual focused on creating win-win strategies and scenarios. He's trained and educated hundreds of financial professionals and clients, and enjoys being an evangelist for financial literacy through his community involvement. And he's a collaborative and speaking with his collaborative speaking, community involvement and speaking venues. His biggest passion is to help people connect and collaborate and succeed. He's a leader for several ethnic chambers, including the Central Valley Asian American Chamber. He's also he serves on the executive board for Healing's Emotions, which is a non-profit organization founded by Mary Nicholson that's dedicated to stroke awareness and brain health. And he also facilitates various groups and organizations within the community and presents at various events and seminars and educates at various venues with his signature topics. One being the 3 money mistakes that screw up families and generations to come. Jim's biggest dream is to continually help others define their life's message to others. Let's give a big round of applause for Sir Jim Chong.
Yeah, Jim T. Chong!
I'm going to give you a high five here. Sorry, she might flip me again.
Yes.
Okay, I want to just mention that I really appreciate this opportunity to speak. And big or small, good economy or bad economy, I would say that we're actually on the upswing on some things here in this wonderful place called what? What's this place called?
Old Spaghetti Factory?
Spaghetti Factory over where? In Stockton, California. We are, as I usually say, nationally recognized. So let's give ourselves a round of applause. And in all sincerity, there are so many great things that are happening in our community. Today what we're going to talk about is how to influence the most people in the shortest amount of time. But what I want to do is just share about some great things that have happened actually through the communities and this weekend as well. And I will tell you, nothing really, I would say really, I get more joy from than to really feel like I made a difference. Do you guys ever feel that? How many of you feel that way sometimes? And there's something very, very significant that happened this weekend. And I don't feel like I can even take all the thunder for this, because this weekend was really a manifestation of many years of really sacrifice to really bring about awareness for this cause called stroke. And I wanted to ask you, how many of you know what FAST is? Okay. All right, you two know. You've been around. Well, I will tell. All right, thank you. Mary better know that. FAST is actually the signs of stroke. And it really is very important to understand what these signs of stroke are. For instance, when you go ahead and you have somebody that has their face that droops, that is a sign that they could be having a stroke. Their arms are going limp. That's also a sign they could be having a stroke. Their speech slur, that's also an indication that they could be having a stroke. And T stands for time, because, as Mary says, time is brain. And it's important that you get help immediately when these signs occur. And I will tell you, I tell people that really when you think about all the things that could be going on, right? A lot of things we take for granted right now. You know, bacteria in water? It used to be thought, when people gave operations, they didn't even know that you should wash your hands with soap and water. They used to just operate and people would die on the operating table. They did not understand why that was the case. But now we know there's things called bacteria, because every day we get so used to it. And it's the same way with stroke. But what I want to do is really talk about, how you influence people. And I'm going to use actually this person's story as a sounding board. So what I want to do is have this person come up. She probably doesn't want to come up because she's really humble. But from her efforts, the whole county is recognized for stroke awareness through Stroke Awareness Day proclamations, as well as the fact that the hospitals now, I believe there's 4 certified stroke centers locally in the area that were the direct result of the initial awareness of this individual. And so I will tell you, we were out at, our event, we had a stroke awareness and proclamation day that followed the Heart Association Heart Walk. And I will tell you, just seeing the awareness being brought together about stroke is so important. The American Heart Association, just like in San Joaquin County, they do great work nationally, but the money that they raise through the walks do not stay here. They kind of go out to other places, which is fine. They do a lot of great research. But everything donated to Healing's Emotion actually stays here locally. That's important for everyone to know, because this is a local endeavor in San Joaquin County. Do we like supporting local business?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But at this time, I'd like to have Mary Nicholson, if you can come up briefly, just share your story and why stroke is, why we even have Healing's Emotion, and then we'll continue on. So let's go ahead and give a big round of applause.
Well, Jim, I love you too. You caught me by surprise.
I know, I love it.
I came here as a newlywed, but before I could actually move here, my husband was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and I served as his caregiver. And shortly after that, I had a brain aneurysm and a stroke, and I had to learn how to just walk and talk again. So when I went through what I went through as a caregiver, then really having to go through and navigate through the medical community here, I saw that there were some things that needed to be done. My background is broadcasting. I have been in management in television and radio in Los Angeles, and I owned a radio station in Sacramento. And so I was always used to information, and disseminating information was something that was very important to me. And I was looking for resources and information and couldn't find them. And I also realized that when you limit yourself geographically in relationship to resources and information, you prohibit yourself from having the best health care. And so, as part of my healing, I realized that my health was my business. And that was the formation of Healings in Motion. I started reaching out to help other people at my capacity. And at that time, I could not stand up. I went through using a wheelchair for a long period of time and a walker and really having to go through things. And I learned how to do things with Tai Chi and movement that really helped me to be able to stand before you today. And so that was my beginning, and now initially I was met with a lot of resistance because I was a new girl in town. But now all of the hospitals are coming together. We now have some who have a stroke protocol. We have certified stroke centers. We now have a system where when people get to the hospital, within 3 hours of their stroke symptoms, they may be eligible for what's called a TPA shot, the tissue plasminogen activator, which, if you are eligible for it, could reverse the stroke symptoms and enhance your quality of life. And a stroke happens to an entire family. It doesn't just happen to you, because if your sister or your parent has a stroke, you will be the one that is the navigator. And so that's why it's so important for people to understand what those stroke symptoms are, that the ones that Jim just talked about, using FAST as an acronym, so that you can remember. F for face, drooping. A for arm, sagging. S for speech, slurred. And the fact that time is brain. Because the more there's blockage to your brain, the more damage is being done to your brain. And just so you know, a stroke is a blockage, and it stops the blood from getting to your brain, which is carrying your nutrients and oxygen. When you don't have that, you lose your power. And if it's hurting this side of your brain, it immobilizes this side of your body, right? Left side controls the right side and vice versa. So anyway, Jim, thank you very much for letting me have a few minutes.
One thing I think is really important, okay? All of us building an audience. I'm with Solutions for Life. We're going to be registering the entity and also forming a nonprofit around it as well. Solutions for Life is dedicated to supporting cause-based professionals and organizations. We have several call-in shows that occur throughout the week, and generously GNA along with DCN have been putting up, it's actually the Solutions for Life venue on Monday. They call it All Day Long with Chong.
Well, we're gonna add more to that.
Oh, this is wonderful.
We're gonna.
Okay, what is
I was
it?
telling you that we're gonna start as soon as I get the game plan down with Troy. We're gonna start playing the news shows throughout the course of the week, and then repeating everything on Monday. And still call it All Day Long with Chong. I just love the way that sounds.
All right, that's cool.
I know you're being humble, but when we say All Day Long with Chong, it's funny, right?
It's funny.
Yeah.
Well, let's give Elias a round of applause because I think it takes time and effort, and also Troy Brewer. I know you're going to be watching this from DCN Network. I know you do a lot to go behind the scenes. Elias helps call some of the shots, but you put in all the hours. Not all of them, actually. I know Elias does as well. But one thing I wanted to share was it's very important. It's very important, the message that you give, and you make the most of every single opportunity. Now, my commitment here, whether we have a few people or a lot of people, I will give 110%. All right? Now, one thing I want to make sure is that we are in sync here. So if I give 110%, can I ask if you would at least not fall asleep, right?
Correct.
Give at least 98%. Is that reasonable?
Yes.
All right. So I make an agreement with you that if I give 110%, you give 98% no matter what. The second agreement is I'll give you information that will literally save your life and someone else's life. You've already had a preview of that. All right? And my agreement is that I will pass along that information. I would like to see if we have an agreement. If I give you that information, what do you think you should do with that information if it's to save someone else's life?
Pass it on.
Pass it on. So if I give you the information, will you make a commitment to pass it on? Mm-hmm. All right? That is the agreement that we have. And I guarantee you, if I go ahead and not make it boring, then you clap just a little bit. All right?
Yes.
And so these agreements are very important because I want us to set our mind in terms of really influencing people. And I will tell you, I teach a couple of curriculums. Kate's attended some of them. One for a chamber, one for a foundation. I'm actually working on a grant to teach the Asian community to speak and communicate in the national forum. But what I want to do is go ahead and just help us imagine the type of influence we want to have on the community. And what I'd like to do, I'm going to go around the room very, very quickly. But I want you just to say, loud and proud, what you envision that audience is. Just describe it however you want to describe it. The size, if you like. Who it's composed of. It can be composed of dogs, cats, or even good people, right? But what I'd like to do is I want to see kind of your vision for what you want to accomplish. So we'll start with you.
Well, based on the fact that I am involved with helping homeless, I would like to see people free of health issues that are running through nutrition. And I'd like to see people who are hurting financially to be able to breathe again, be able to pay their bills, be able to think clearly and dream again, and to visualize those things.
Okay, great, awesome.
One of my visions is for people not to fight, for people to find a peaceful resolution to conflict. And I envision that all across the world, because in Aikido we always say if everybody practiced Aikido, there would be no war. So I envision passing that message on to thousands and thousands and thousands of people until there's no more war.
Oh, great. Okay. Linda?
I want, at the end of my days on the show, to say, because of her, I didn't give up.
Wow.
That's
Because of you, they didn't give up. Awesome. What do you view your audience to be?
My audience is basically people. It's a young audience and an old audience. The young audience is people like my teenage granddaughter. She's a leader, no question about it. She's 14, freshman. She's just an awesome kid. So I like to influence the young people, but then I'm also really getting into people who have retired, don't really want to retire and do nothing, that want to do a business or want to continue to be active, whether it's to make money or just to be involved. Just to be involved. And I want to lead them so that they don't give up, they keep moving, they keep their brains sharp, and serve their soul.
Oh, that's really great. That's awesome. You get a double. Okay, let's say Mary. What do you envision your audience impact? You're already having, but let's kind of grow it bigger. How would you describe your audience and what you want to accomplish?
My audience is just starting to evolve in actually getting the hospitals to work as a community and acknowledging that we all have our own businesses and we have that competitive edge, but in the business of saving lives, there needs to be a time when everybody lets go of the ego, let go of that quest to be number one, and really work together so that we can accomplish what is needed in this community, because there are a disproportionate number of people who are dying and living with long-term disabilities because there has not been adequate health care. And now when you know something, it's hard to take it back. You are then subjected to what you know. And so I really, really think now we have reached a point where the hospitals really want to work together, and it's one of those climber things where if you're both moving in the same direction, we can make a lot more get done all the way around.
Awesome.
And so that's what I think.
Jim?
It's hard to describe something that everybody should go through in a matter that everyone can understand. The greatest problem we face each and every day of our life is the problem of caregivers. They're outside is highly polluted. The EPA does everything it can to find people, but when it's cheaper to pay the fine than correct the problem. When I found out about a product called I found that it addresses the solution to something that we can all control, and that's the quality of air we breathe in the homes we live in. Can't go outside and smoke the air from outside, but we can make sure that what we breathe inside is safer than anything we get outside. My vision is to have an audience of people who want to understand that 80% of all disease is carried by these little particles, and that we do little to nothing in our hands to control them, and that's where we find the majority of them. And let people know that by ridding your home of the problems associated with asthma, allergies, COPD, people that have suffered a stroke, people that have had a heart attack, clean air is a great solution for all of them. And I at least want to send a message to people that there is a way to breathe clean air in your home. There is a way to free yourself from the problem of all these dust mites and germs that infect our homes. And all you have to do is step up and realize that.
Awesome. And finally, Elias, your audience, your passion.
Wow. I get to share?
Absolutely.
Well, Jim, I think you pretty much know what my vision is, but I'll say it publicly here as part of your presentation. My vision is astronomical. It's bigger than the air pollution. I'm with you on the air pollution thing. I'm with you on a lot of things that, you know, the people don't talk about our politics and religion, but when we're going to talk politics, a lot of things our government's not doing the right way. It's going to cost them more money to do it the right way. It's the wrong way. And that honestly, that really hits me here. That really hits me here because we're not going to pay the price for it for our futures. Our kids and their kids, you know, they're going to, you think we're living on healthy now, wait until the next 100 years, right? Next century, whatever. It's a big audience, Jim. I love to talk just like you. I love to speak. I love getting up in front of people. And I'm just like you. I don't make it about me. It's not about me. It's about each and every one of you. It's about the people and working together. Because if we don't work together, there are going to be no changes. The economy is not going to change unless we work together. That's the issue I have right now. You have 1% or 2% of the population has 99% of the money. So why not donate some of that back? What's happening is the people that have the money are investing the money and putting the people that, you know, are in those homes of foreclosure on the street, and they're reinvesting that, and they're making even more money. And what's happening to the real economy? Nothing's happening, right? We need to work together. I'm about collaboration. I'm about to wrap up for a second. I like working together with people and having a mutually beneficial relationship. It's not one-sided. And the one thing I'll share, the final thing is, a lot of people lately have been trying to reach out to me because we've grown this network, right? And they want something from me. And I know that if they want something from me, right? But here's the thing. If it's not mutually beneficial, I don't care if it doesn't help me. I want it to help the GNA, because the GNA helps everybody. If it's not something, if you're going to come to me with something that can't help the best overall interest of everyone, then I'm sorry, you're wasting my time.
That's all right. Let's keep it in. You know, one thing I want to be able to solicit here is that one thing I want us to all think about is, you've heard that statement, you got to know your why. All right. There's somebody I talked with, Linda Rausch, she's from a different state. Also a friend of Catherine Girardi that's with Solutions for Life for SRL. And she really helps you dial in your why. And I saw how important it really was, because that really is a catalyst for everything that we do. Now let me give you an example. If you go ahead and you just look out there, right? Are you really inspired to do anything?
No.
Not really. What if you looked out there and there was a fire, and you saw that it was starting to grow, and you saw a couple babies in those little high chairs? Do you think you'd be passionate to do something about it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's an illustration we've heard a lot. And what I'd like to say is, one of the first things to think about in terms of influencing people is really discovering your why and your passion. What is the thing that you really want to do to leave your mark in terms of the world today? Because if you don't understand that why, have you ever seen a dog kind of chasing its own tail? That's kind of an interesting scene, right? Now, in the Asian community, we talk about dogs in a different way, right?
Oh boy.
That's always a different discussion. Oh, there it goes, I know. But the whole thing is in all sincerity, perhaps we take a look at that dog, right? The dog's just kind of chasing his tail. And it's kind of interesting. What do you think about that dog, Kate? What are your thoughts on that dog?
It's funny. It's funny.
It's hilarious, right? Now, have you ever seen, on the other hand, a dog? All of a sudden, he's playing around. You know, they always have happy faces. The dogs, they always seem to have happy faces right before they're going to bite you. You know, but all of a sudden, he sees something. It's a bird or something. All of a sudden, especially those pointers, they all of a sudden get real still. And they're looking. And When you see a dog like that, what sort of feelings go through your mind, Kate?
That's cool. What is he staring at?
That's right. He gets your attention, right? Both actually get your attention. But which one are you going to take more seriously? Probably the dog that's focused and poised. And it's the same way. In a lot of ways, we have a calling. I am, by nature, an engineer, software engineer. I had my own software company for 20 plus years. But going through life's challenges, going through life's obstacles or opportunities to grow, I see that it's really an opportunity for me to dial in what's really important. I absolutely respect people that sit in an office. They give us the opportunity to have the lights that we have the things that we really enjoy most. Even that camera that's recording right now, right? The car that we drive. But at the same time, it's really interesting. Is that really the most important? Growing up, I really didn't understand how important, life was in terms of people that do coaching, and you mentioned you were in the coaching arena as well, until I started going through a lot of things in life, understanding my challenges, and all of a sudden, things kind of changed for me. I always enjoyed being around people. I've always been a community person, always been, I guess you call it a leader, because no one else wants to do it. I raise my hand, right? Get involved. I put things into action. That's just who I am. But the whole thing is, I didn't really have a jointed purpose in how they were really joined. So I found myself, like many people, really doing some things, but having a lot of fun. I'm in the arena where we insure people, we take care of families, especially the seniors right now, in terms of the opportunities to really help seniors. But I'll tell you, I used to always understand the importance of laughter, and I never liked to get too serious, because I feel like if you get too serious and deep, sometimes that might, especially when we talk about insurance, because if you start using all those neat things, you talk about, have you ever thought about, how long you're going to live, or what's going to happen to you when maybe somebody you love passed away and you want them to be taken care of. I realized, wow, I need to get a lot more focused and a lot more serious about it. And here's the deal, I realized I could have a lot more fun as well. But when I was like that dog, pointing at what I wanted to do, and really understood the importance that insurance played, it really helped me dial in very quickly a message that would be more well received and more listened to. Now let me give you an example of why it's important. I moved out here in 2007, and I was from the Bay Area, and we enjoyed this place. We had a new house that was just built from the ground up, literally. And one of the things that was exciting for us to be here, because I was here, unexpectedly, I got a call late at night. What was that call all about? Well, my mom had passed away overnight. And I thought, maybe that's why I needed to be here. I love the Bay Area. We wanted to change the scenery. And, what I realized was, wow, life is really short. I never really had somebody really, really super close to me pass away. Of course, it's my mother. And I came here to be closer to my family. And I found out my dad, I just visited him today, just with the things that he was going through, he kind of said, oh, this insurance, he stopped paying for it. Well, that cost him $300,000 because he decided not to pay that $50 premium. Now, it's not about the money. Was the fact that, wow, life is short. And that's what kind of set me on a message to speak. And so for myself, I've joined various ethnic communities, had a chance to serve, just on executive teams of various groups, the Central Valley Asian American Chamber here, one of the great Chinese associations there, of course, the wonderful Healings in Motion here about stroke awareness and prevention, and then also just being able to be affiliated and bring a message to people, because I enjoyed speaking, I enjoyed people, being asked to speak at different things, but not really understanding how they're all interconnected. But when I really understood, wow, there's a mission that we have. My mission right now, a couple things. First off, really creating collaboration. And really, truly, I would love to see every ethnicity understand what stroke is all about. Is that a good thing to bring into the communities? Do you see how that kind of joins everything together, right? Then the paper that we write for, I have a column there every edition, has meaning. All of a sudden, the speaking has a little bit more meaning. But really understanding our purpose and why we're here is really what's so important about influencing people. Because people can have a great time, they can really enjoy a great message. But if they understand that this is really you, and wow, and if you can, here's the fun part, if you can convince them that your cause is worthwhile, for all the cause that we talk about, don't you kind of want to follow him? Well, to be able to create that enthusiasm, to be able to create that synergy where people are going to follow you, you're going to have that passion, isn't that true? Now, a couple of things here that I just want to go ahead and just mention very, very quickly. I believe one of the best ways to influence people in the shortest amount of time is speaking. Why? Because we can touch so many people. And what Elias does here is wonderful, how you can record it, you can get that message out to a lot of people. If we go ahead, for instance, no matter what you're dealing with, whether it be health and what you provide, whether it be in the home ping system through the rainbow, it's really great to be able to demonstrate it one-on-one, right? But I will tell you, if you can touch a lot of people at one time through speaking, you can get almost any message out. And that is really what Solutions for Life is all about. Developing conduits to really get information out, whether it be through the paper, through speaking venues, through events, through just different causes that we support. And one of the things that I want to mention is, in terms of really having the most influence in the shortest amount of time, you have to really be able to concisely articulate and really state what your purpose for the message is. I do that, and we've had several speakers that we're working with to define the problem, what they solve, and be able to define how they're going to speak about it. But really understanding yourself is so important. The second is understanding how to develop a message. So you build yourself first, then you build your message second. And the interesting thing is, if you build your message without understanding yourself, have you ever heard anyone speak and you felt like it really wasn't their alignment?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
It makes me wonder, if they really truly know what their vision is.
That's right. And so that's why you've got to really define your vision, and around that vision, build your message. Does that make sense? And after you have a great message, then you go for it and start building your audience. And these are the things that are so important in terms of influencing people. Really being able to have yourself aligned, your message, a powerful message designed and articulated, as well as the audience in which you have. Because if you don't have an audience, by definition, you're not touching anyone, right? You speak in a room all alone. But the whole thing is that you have to ask, what is your message? What were you meant to be here for? And that's what we try to do, is really help people design a message that really suits themselves. And I will tell you, Mary Nicholson's message about healing's emotion, stroke awareness and prevention, she's lived it, all right? She's seen neglect, where, you didn't share this, I didn't hear you share it, but where literally she went into, her head was literally flopping, and pretty much the ambulance took her to the hospital, didn't know what it was, just thought she was having a bad headache, I believe, right? And said, all we are is your taxi. That's all we are. And she literally could not communicate. No one knew what was going on. They thought, maybe she was checked in or whatever. It wasn't until her friend came that really got her help. And that's what really helped her realize the need here. But here's a great example of somebody that really has their life dialed in about what it's about. And I will tell you, one of the things that I want to really impress upon you is understanding what message you want to relay. Because my whole message here is to be able to give you some tools to be able to get your word out and really get it out in the shortest amount of time. And one of the things you want to be able to do is you can do this through a variety of ways. One is first the one-on-one connection, right? We all know that that's a great way to meet people. We get together with a one-on-one, right? What are some other venues that we can meet people out? You do it.
The networking clubs.
That's exactly what I wrote second. The networking clubs. What other things? Through social media. Okay. What else? Any other thoughts?
So far, so good.
Okay.
Chamber of Commerce.
Right. Chamber of Commerce. Those are great. And I want to just suggest something that I think is a very powerful thing. This is a key to a lot of things, what we talk about. All right? That is through a cause. Because a cause binds people together in no other way than other things can. You can use social media to get the message out, right? That's kind of the conduit that can be utilized. But really the cause, when somebody has a passion for a cause, and you can find other people with the same passion, do you think you have people that can do an incredible amount of work in a short period of time? Absolutely. And so, really to have the greatest amount of influence, with people, I'm going to suggest something that many of us do, but I wanted to just do a poll for the audience. What was that name of that? Oh, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, right?
Yeah.
Whether poll the audience. All right? I want to poll you. What do you think is the most effective way to gain influence on someone? There's a lot of opinions on this. Now, influence is something that causes some sort of a reaction, whether it be emotional or physical reaction, on somebody, okay? They have some sort of impact on somebody to create another emotional or physical reaction. What is something that you can do that you think can have the most influence on people?
Just give of yourself. Give of yourself without expecting anything back from you.
Okay, give of yourself. All right, what else? Okay, give empathy. And one of the things that I noticed, now, when do we have influence on people?
When they feel it, when they know that you care.
Okay, right.
When they relate to your message.
Okay, when they relate to your message. Now, I would say we have to make the most. I started saying we have to make the most of every opportunity, every moment, not take things for granted. And I realized this. Let me share this thing. Many of you know, unfortunately, my car's been hit. I don't know, a few different times. Many of you know this. But when I was turning, there was just a lot of things going on. The sun got in my eyes. And I looked to my right, and I was turning, and I thought, oh my goodness, there is a car coming right, about ready to T-bone me, and it was coming right at me. I mean, so many things flashed before my thoughts, just thinking about, wow, this could be it. I could be paralyzed, a lot of things could happen. Fortunately, nothing happened, but it really made me understand the importance that every moment makes, every breath makes. And I want you to think about that, because my question again is, when do we influence people? When do you think we influence?
When they're vulnerable.
Huh?
When they're vulnerable, is that what you're saying?
Okay, no, just in general. There is no wrong answer here, okay? It's kind of like they say there's no stupid answer, stupid question, there's only stupid. We won't go there. All right, we know that. But when do we influence people? I want you to really think about this question.
When they feel the need.
Yeah. Okay. Now let me suggest something here, because we're about ready to close here. But I'm going to suggest you influence people all the time. If somebody sees your inaction, what does that teach them? What does it teach your kids? You see somebody hungry, you don't do anything. What does it teach the people that are watching you? Especially if they're younger. I'm always talking about youth and the future generations as well. What does that teach the people when they see you do nothing?
You don't care.
You don't care? But the whole idea is, I want to say, people are watching, right? All your friends, everywhere, every time. Now, is that to put a burden on you?
No.
Well, no, because we can make a decision. What can we make a decision to do? We can make a decision to have a positive impact on people. And so, just keep in mind, no matter what we do, we influence people. Our showing up or not showing up to something is a vote. All right? I think we've got a great venue here. It's a vote. Now, people, just let you know, I have several people that did have other meetings and stuff as well. But it's really a vote for what's really a priority in our life. All right? For some people, this is a priority to be here. Some people just have a lot of time on their hands. This is Stockton. Some people are unemployed, right? they're everywhere. No, but in all sincerity, it is your vote. where you put your time is your vote. And I would say you influence people all the time. And the best way you can influence the most amount of people is to dial in who you are, your message, and also, just really building your audience and doing everything intentionally. And what I wanted to do was have you think about just what difference your life really makes to the people that are around you, right? How many of you have a little bit of struggle in your life in some aspect?
Oh, sure.
Okay, I'm going to raise both hands, right?
I'll raise hands and feet, Jim.
Right. Now here's the deal. You can either do it having fun or do it stressed. And it is scientifically proven, and you've probably heard this, it takes a lot more effort to create a frown muscle than to create a happy muscle. And I will venture to say, if you want to have influence on people, you better be pleasant, you better be somebody that they want to hang around. Would you say that's true? And I'm going to give you just a few real practicals in how you influence people. I mean, we've talked about the specifics in terms of building yourself, building your message, and building your audience, okay? That's pretty much the formula in general. But I will tell you, to make it stick, one thing I would solicit, we talked about how do you influence people. We influence people all the time by what we do or what we don't do. But one thing I do want to mention to you is that when you go ahead and work with people and talk to people, I want you to think, what difference could my life make in this person's life? Because even though we're repeating it over and over again, you see the message I want to get to all of us? Because I will tell you, there is a great forum Clemmer and Socius puts on. Their organization has trained over 250,000 people. We're having an event September 22nd, where they teach you about alignment. And what I would say is that in your influencing people, there's a few different things that are so important. One is just your character, just being a person of your word. Because if you really want to have a positive influence where people will follow and do what you say, first off, they have to trust what you say. Now, how can this show up in different areas of your life in terms of just saying something and honoring it or not honoring it? How many of you have ever been 5 minutes late to something? I would tell you, it makes a difference. If you say, I'm going to be there at 9 o'clock, what time should you be there? 9 o'clock. Now,
8:55?
Yeah, 8:55. That's good. That's a good answer, especially for those that will become a little late. But the whole thing is that the real thing is it okay to change that agreement? If I'm going to be somewhere a little bit late, is it okay to call you and let you know? All right? Absolutely acceptable, right? Would you accept a call saying I'm running a little bit late? Now, let me tell you, have you guys ever met anyone that will show up somewhere, maybe half hour, 15 minutes, 5 minutes late, don't really call you? They just kind of show up late?
And act like nothing happened.
And act like nothing happened. Right. So, just the character, being able to do what you say you're going to do, can people really trust what you say?
Yes.
And so, that is very, very important, to have integrity in what you do. The second thing is, have you met their need? Now, I'm not trying to push religion or anything, but Jesus fed the people with the loaves of bread. That's what it says in the Bible. Before he actually, started feeding them spiritually, he actually met the physical need as well. But really meeting a need that somebody has, that means that you really have to pay attention to not what you want, but what they want and what they need, right? When we're in sales, hey, your company's there, right? The biggest thing to really focus on is ultimately, bottom line is that nothing's wrong with it. You want to make the sale, right? And so a lot of the focus becomes, how can I align this person to really get them committed to making a decision that I want them to make to be able to make the sale. Bottom line, that's a true statement. Think about it. If you're in the sales arena, that's what you're trying to do. Is that a true statement? Now, that's true across the board. I don't care how you angle it. But everything put aside, if you just sit and listen to the people that are around you, they'll tell you what their needs are. And when they tell you what your needs are, respond to them. Try to meet their needs. And then, finally, just being able to take a cause that you really believe in and really bring it to fruition, bring it forward. And I will tell you, there's a word that came out when I was listening to this man speak. I was actually It's called consistency. I was actually in this, I got invited to this Muslim venue, and there was like 1,000 people there, and they were trying to curb the hate crime and what they said was misperception of Muslims. And the organization did really good. They tried to help. When they talked about a girl that was Muslim, and she was a younger girl saying, I'm Muslim and I'm also American. They actually had a discussion, could she really be a real American, because she said she was Muslim. So they called the organization. They try to curb things like that, all the way to direct hate crimes where people are violently being assaulted. Does that make sense? So in the Muslim community, there are some what they claim are misconceptions, and maybe they are. But that's their cause. But I'll tell you, I had a chance to meet the ambassador from South Africa. Got a picture with him too. Don't want to miss that opportunity. But he said one thing was more important than anything. Whatever we choose to do, if we really believe in the cause, we have to be consistent. Consistency is key. And that really made me evaluate, because, I love to really, when I like something, I get excited about it. I like to, if I see it, something that's health related, it's good, I like to share about it. I'm in the financial arena. I like to share about things I get excited about. But ultimately, I still have to carry a consistent message about what I'm about. And so, for yourself, evaluate, do you have that alignment with yourself, your message, and have you brought it where you've been able to really meet the needs of the people around you and also been consistent with your message and make it all about them and not necessarily all about you. What I like to do is really talk about win-for-all scenarios, creating win-win scenarios. That's a whole other discussion. But I want to thank all of you for this time and really determine what your alignment is so you can influence the most amount of people in the shortest amount of time.
Jim, before you close down, everybody starts clapping for you, because we're going to give you a huge round of applause in a second, right, Kate?
Yes.
Can I just mention one thing really quickly? My experience in almost 4 years running the GNA, I know we're running a long time, what helped get my message out there, because people fired bullets at me from the very beginning, and they still fire bullets at me. They're going to fire bullets at you, but just keep on going. You might not get a response the first time you speak like you want. And you might not get it the second time. But if you keep on moving forward and get your message out there, after 5 or 10 or 12 or 15 or even 20 touches, or 2 or 3 or 4 years later, the message gets out. But if you stop and you let them get to you, what happens to your vision? I'm sorry, this may be unprofessional. It goes down the toilet. Right? And we're eating dinner here. My apologies. But that's what I'm trying to say. So I admire you, Jim, because it hasn't been easy getting your vision out. You've had to collaborate with guys like me. I'm not easy to work with initially. I mean, I'm a nice guy, but we've had trust issues, right? Because we've been taken advantage of, and we have to give people chances and learn to work with people. But we can't give up if it doesn't work out right away. We got to keep on pushing forward for the vision.
Yeah,
thank you, Jim.
That's the consistency we were talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Jim Chong's the man.